A young woman living on the outskirts of the national capital, right next to a place which is the house of many Fortune 500 companies across the world in Noida, right on the outskirts of Noida, Greater Noida, a place where urban life and rural life can coexist, literally in a cheek by jowl kind of a scenario. In that place, a young woman married for a few years with a young son, all of 6 years, burnt alive by her husband, by her in-laws, because why? Because of dowry demands. On this episode of the Squirrels.in today, we're going to talk about a subject which deeply is so upsetting to us, particularly to me, because I live in a place which is not too far off from Greater Noida. And I all the time interact with women of the age group of which this poor girl Nikki really was. How do we look at what had happened? Firstly, the facts of the case. Here's a scenario where anyways dowry has been given. A car has been given, cash has been given, jewelry has been given, gold has been given, and yet the in-laws, the husband of Nikki, wants more. Now, Nikki is not someone who's perhaps not educated. There are enough videos that we have seen all around on social media handles where she is also seen to be driving a car. There is a statement which has been made by her father, who admits that there were disputes between the husband and his own daughter, and his daughter, Nikki, had actually come to stay with her parents, maybe seeking some shelter, maybe seeking some relief from the kind of cruel treatment that must be getting meted out to her by her in-laws, by her husband. But what does the father say? The father says, what could I have done? Samaj, society, Samaj hamare ghar aa gaya. My daughter came from her in-laws' place, but then after a few months, the Samaj came, and what to do? We have to live with the Samaj. I say, hell with the Samaj. I say, this kind of a society which pushes a woman to go back to a house which is full of criminal beasts, animals, that kind of a society needs to be shunned. In simple words, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Nikki. She's been let down by the society. She, yes, is a victim of the cruelty which was perpetuated against her by the man who would have walked, who would have taken 7 pheras, 7 chakkars around the holy fire, who would have taken a pledge before hundreds and thousands of people that he was going to look after this girl for the rest of his life. But what does he do? He drags her by the hair, right in full glare of their own biological son. Just imagine, 6-year-old boy witness to what that innocent girl, Nikki, must have gone through. And to make matters even worse, Nikki's sister who's there, who ostensibly is asking Nikki's husband not to do this, she's filming a video. Now, I'm not understanding. I'm unable to wrap my mind around this. That your own sister is being brutally beaten like this, and the only thing you can do is click a video. How many times have we seen that people on the roads across the country have ended up losing their lives post an accident? Why? Because onlookers were refusing to do anything about what they would have seen. Do we say that Nikki has been let down in some ways by her sister as well? Now, there is a law of the land. There is a law of the land. There are activists who will turn around and say that, look, dowry laws are so stringent, are so strict, much like what Vipin, this Nikki's husband, is attempting to do, where he, after this entire incident, he puts up a reel on Instagram and says, oh, my dear Nikki, where have you gone? Why have you left me, Nikki? I'm left high and dry. I cannot live without you. That is what is being stated by the guy who just till a few moments back was being filmed on video, dragging his lawfully wedded wife by her hair, punching her, and finally being burnt to death. Now, I want to put some numbers before you folks, because don't think that what you are seeing now through these news headlines of Nikki is something which has happened out of nowhere. The National Crime Records Bureau's numbers are telling us a very chilling story. Between 2017 and 2021, India recorded a total of 35,493 dowry deaths. Let that number sink in. 35,493 women in this country in a 4-year time span have ended up losing their lives. Why? Because of Samaj. Because maybe in most of these cases, what must have happened is that the parents of the girl, the parents of the bride, must have in the first instance given money to the in-laws. And that, I think, is an equally big crime. In 2020, 6,966 women died. In 2021, 6,753. In 22, 6,450. Slow decline, you may say. But what does it matter if the average comes down to be 18 women in this fast developing country of ours are dying every day because of dowry? 18 women. And 18 would have been the number that should have been the number of celebration, isn't it? 18 is when you become an adult. 18 is when you have the right to vote. And 18 number of women dying every day in this country of ours because of dowry. If you put a map of this dowry fire, which is the state which would really be on top of it? Uttar Pradesh. In 2022 alone, the state has recorded 2,218 cases of dowry deaths, more than 1/3 of India's total. Next door to UP in Bihar, 1,057 dowry deaths in 2022. Every third day here, nearly 9 women are losing their lives. That's in one state, just imagine. 9 women losing their lives in one state every day, and 18 women losing their lives across the country every day. So what does it tell you? It tells you that it is a problem nationwide, but it is staring at you in your faces, particularly in these 2 states of UP and Bihar. And I come from UP and I vouch for it, and I kid you not that this is a serious problem. If you're thinking that this is some kind of a bias against the state, some English words bias against the Hindi word, that's not true, folks. This is the reality in large parts of a state which has India's highest population, but when it comes to educational reforms, when it comes to cultural reforms, the lesser I say, the better. The kind of caste prejudices which exist. Why should we blame politicians? Why do you think that when elections come, then the only call that you have is which caste group is supporting whom, which political party? Why do you think that these Samaj ke thekedars, so-called self-created great contractors of our great society, who gives them the right to push a girl to go back to a house where her in-laws do not respect her? Why should you be getting bothered by such people? The more I look at this, the more I look at numbers, the more I feel that it's the system which is consistently betraying people like Nikki in our country. Of the 7,000 annual cases, when it comes to dowry cases, only around 4,500 reach charge sheet. In 2022, 4,148 cases out of 7,000 charge sheeted, but 359 closed for lack of evidence. Convictions, just about 100. 90% of cases in our country are still rotting in courtrooms. That is the other problem. The reason why women in our country do not manage to raise their voice beyond a point is because they tend to think, and often their families also tend to bog them down. अरे क्या करोगे, कुछ होना ही नहीं है, कोर्ट में जाके क्या करोगे? जज साहब आपसे सबूत मांगेंगे, कहां से लाओगे सबूत? How will you pay the lawyer? Oh, look at this, I mean, if you come from some poor part of Eastern UP or Bihar, you'll be told, no, what will our relatives say? No, let's try and make ends meet. I'm not a great supporter of divorce, but I completely am against this idea of pushing a woman who's not being dealt fairly in an adorable, lovable manner by the person and that person's family who's supposed to be responsible for her. That person does not deserve any affection of that girl or that girl's family. Unless we make that into a motto, I don't think anything is going to change. Nikki's story is not an exception, folks. It's a symbol. It's a symbol of a rot which is so deep within our society that unless we go really, really deep down within ourselves, we won't be able to settle it. Till then, what can we do? What we can do is to remember that number. 18 human lives, 18 innocent women dying in our country every day because of dowry deaths. So, next time when you go to a cinema hall or when you go to a media event and you hear all these great words and great sayings, Nari Shakti, She Shakti, women empowerment, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and whatnot, remember, 18 women in this country are still dying in 2025 every day because of dowry. That is the real ugly face of our society. Every day you wake up, you see some story of gang rape somewhere. Now, these stories of dowry death somewhere. What can the courts do? What can the political class do? Have you seen a single politician in the state of Uttar Pradesh go and express empathy with this girl, with her family? If this was some caste based outfit, by now, my God, I mean, the entire political class and their entire family would have ended up landing at this spot. But no, this is a case of dowry death. Facts have to be ascertained. We don't know. We don't know the caste of that girl. Oh, okay, maybe the caste is, she belongs to a specific caste community. Can't be saying something which will end up upsetting the other caste groupings. That is the ugly nature of our politics as well when it comes to dealing with dowry cases. 18 people dying every day, 18 innocent women dying every day is a responsibility of you, is a responsibility of the society, is a responsibility of the judiciary and the law enforcement agencies in our country. Nothing, absolutely nothing can change this unless all these three institutions that I speak about end up converting this into some kind of a national campaign. Do let us know what you thought about this story. We'd be happy to support anyone here on the squirrels.in. Any woman who wants to share her story or anyone out there who's feeling trapped, please reach out to us. We can help you, even if in a small way. Thank you so much for watching.